Hi, I'm Sascha Segan from PCMag.
And I'm Wong from Mashable.
And we're here to talk about the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus. Now, we have both had these phones for what, 2 weeks now?
About 2 weeks, yeah. I've got mine here.
Did yours come with the unicorn sticker?
No, our photographer's stuck this on.
Okay.
Because it is an iridescent prismatic kind of finish. So.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was going to start talking about this thing from the outside in. We've been testing these phones out. Our reviews are going up very soon, but we have a lot of thoughts about the Galaxy S10 Plus. And let's start with this finish. It's not quite white, is it?
It's called Prism White. All their colors are prism colored, I guess, except for the flamingo pink version. And as you can see, when the light hits it at different angles, it shines a different kind of color. So
it's sometimes kind of pink or blue?
Sometimes it's pink, sometimes it's like teal and aqua. It's never quite white. Right now it's kind of like this creamy blue, but I kind of like it.
Yeah, I have kind of mixed feelings. I think I'd rather have the ceramic white, even though I'm not about to spend $1,250 on the ceramic white model.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it also comes in, what is it? It comes in blue, it comes in pink, it comes in black, right?
Is there green?
There's not a green in the US.
Okay.
There's a green in other countries. And yellow is only for the really little one, the S10e.
I like the yellow.
I like the yellow. Yeah. And we both like the S10e, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. Okay, so the first thing, we're looking at this phone, and we have this big 6.4-inch 3440 by 1440 screen, right?
It's massive. And then you have this little cutout here, so no notch, but a kind of hole punch or pill-shaped hole punch on this larger model. The smaller S10e and S10 have just a smaller cutout.
And this is for the dual front-facing cameras. Although, so this has generated various feelings for both of us. Pretty much none of them good, huh?
Yeah, you know, I like this trend of the hole punch.
I like the hole punch too.
I like the hole punch trend, but Samsung put it in the right side, which for me is not great because I'm constantly holding my phone. I'm a righty, so I'm holding my phone and I'm swiping down from this side. And if you can see, I don't know if you can pick this up on camera, but there are a lot of smudges over here. It's hard to see.
You see, I am also a righty.
Constantly swiping down on it.
I'm also a righty, and that just feels like a very insecure grip for me. Like if I'm swiping over here, this thing's about to go like this. So I'm always like swiping down from the middle, and it's fine. But my complaint is that it's a double punch.
Okay.
And
double punch.
A double punch.
I think that's the first time I've heard that.
Yeah, it's like in both eyes. And on the smaller Galaxy S10s, it's a single punch and it doesn't really bother me. But here, it's like staring me in both eyes. And that secondary front-facing camera is only for bokeh. And I feel like that is a very...
It's not only for bokeh. It's a depth sensor, so a time-of-flight camera. So it can be used for augmented reality and tracking. And I've used it with, the improved AR emoji. I know a lot of people hate it, but the tracking is way better. So depth map is important for a lot of applications.
I guess I haven't found I haven't seen the compelling applications for front-facing depth cameras yet. Okay. Animoji felt to me to be a fad.
Whoa, I use that with my mom all the time. I'm legit. Like I bought her iPhone XR. I upgraded her from an old Android phone, and we FaceTime all the time with Animoji.
Okay, so if you want to turn yourself into a cartoon, you need the double punch.
Sure.
But so we've got the double punch here, and one of them is a depth camera. The screen, though, absolutely gorgeous. I feel like this is the best OLED screen we have ever seen, and we see a lot of screens.
But they say that about the Galaxy phones every year. It's best.
It's true about the Galaxy phones every year.
I just read this report from DisplayMate, and they call it the virtually perfect. I'm not even sure what that means. Like, how is a screen even perfect? How is a screen ever perfect?
It means it almost doesn't exist. It's like reality. Like it's just reality in there.
Basically, the screen is really good. It's really bright. If you use the previous Samsung phone from the last couple of years, you'll know what to expect. My question is for you, do you feel like the kind of blue light filter, has that had any effect on you? So there is a kind of a blue light filtering on the screen that's supposed to help you sleep better at night.
No, but I do like the dark mode. Let me show these folks the dark mode. See, here's what the settings panels look like in dark mode.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I feel like blue light filter doesn't really help me sleep, but dark mode definitely does. So I like the dark mode. But you're right. Like this is a Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus. It is like the screen is also spectacular, and the difference between these two screens, between the S9 Plus and the S10 Plus, it's kind of difficult to see.
I would say it's almost impossible to see, like to a regular person. Like they're not looking at it and it's like, oh wow, I can see more colors. It's like looking at a TV. At some point, you know, you're reaching the point of diminishing returns.
Okay, so other things going on this phone. Obviously, we see no fingerprint sensor because the fingerprint sensor is invisible and it's built into the screen. It's a Qualcomm ultrasonic fingerprint sensor, supposedly considerably better than the optical fingerprint sensors used by the OnePlus 6T and its ilk. I definitely do find that it's better than the optical fingerprint sensor used by the OnePlus 6T, but that's a low bar.
Okay. You know, in my test, I know you did your own test and did a whole bunch of like, you know, tested it a bunch of times. I personally feel like anecdotally, the 6T feels a little faster. Maybe it's the animation that happens when you put your fingerprint on the sensor.
It's the animation.
But yeah, I definitely don't like this kind of in-display fingerprint sensor. It's slower than the physical sensor on the back, and it misses almost all the time.
You see, what? Yeah, I think the key here, the key problem here, is the phone is off. Where are you supposed to touch it? There is no guide. Where are you supposed to touch it? Nope.
There is a little guide, at least on my unit.
Oh no, there's a guide if you turn the screen on.
Yeah,
right, if you turn the screen on. But from screen off, there is no guide. As opposed to with a normal phone in the normal world, you always know where to press the fingerprint sensor.
I guess after a little while, you kind of know what vicinity to press it. So if I go like this and boom.
I guess, but I did really extensive. So I did some pretty extensive testing with the fingerprint sensor. I tested with dry finger, wet finger. I covered my finger in flan because we were in Barcelona, and I found that as long as I got my finger properly centered in the right location, straight on, it was 100% accurate. But it would fail because I would hit the sensor slightly off center, or I would slightly forget where the sensor was, or my finger wasn't straight.
Right.
Worked okay with wet, does not work with flan.
Let me ask you a question. Did you register your fingerprints like at an angle, or did you register it head on straight like
I did register it head on.
And I think that's the problem. So I re-registered my fingerprints, and you know, this is how I would press my fingerprints.
Oh, okay. So you re-registered them sideways.
It is a little more accurate, a little more responsive, but it's still nowhere near as fast as the sensor on the back.
As regular physical fingerprint sensors.
Right.
And now I'd like to note, this is the second time we're going to mention the S10e, the less expensive version of this phone, has a regular fingerprint sensor.
But it's on the side.
In the power button.
That's kind of cool.
It's kind of cool, and it gets rid of the complaint that a lot of people had with the Galaxy S8 and S9 fingerprint sensors, which are that they're too close to the camera.
Yep.
So speaking of cameras, going to the back, we have 3 cameras.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of cameras.
And
2 of them are basically the S9 cameras.
Yes, you have a wide, an ultra wide, and then you also have a telephoto camera. So, you know, I actually, as a photographer, I really enjoy shooting with, you know, more cameras on a smartphone. But I actually found the camera imagery kind of soft, in my opinion, for the ultra wide. The regular wide and the telephoto is actually really sharp, but the ultra wide always comes out a little soft, whether it's indoors or outdoors or low light, especially low light. It's not great. And
I found the regular and the telephoto to be. I mean, I don't know if you found this to be. I couldn't tell the difference between those and the S9.
There is a little bit of software tweaking. I noticed that the HDR is a little better.
Okay.
So kind of exposures are a little better. There's less overexposing. But it's very minor that you won't really notice a difference.
Okay. Okay. And so then the difference really is in the ultra wide, and if the ultra wide is soft, how much of a value is that?
You know, for a $1,000 phone, I feel like they need to nail the sharpness.
Have you tried the LG ultra wides?
I have. So like the LG Think 40, LG V40.
The V40 and the G7.
Yes.
What do you think of those?
They were soft.
Okay, so it's just like all ultra wides.
Right.
It's the nature of an ultra wide.
An ultra wide definitely has like some distortion on the edges. You get this kind of curvature on the sides, and there is a way to correct that. There's a lens correction feature that you can turn on, but you know it's still not as sharp as the regular camera.
Okay.
So. I mean, I'm nitpicking here. You know, if you toss these photos up on Instagram or you toss them up on Twitter, it's going to get compressed again, so it won't really matter. But if you want the full res image, it's not going to cut it. Like, I was editing photos on Instagram, and I was like, nah, this is not going to cut it, and I just didn't post any.
Okay, so now we've almost gone around the edges of the phone. There is there's one more really good thing and kind of controversial thing around the edges of the phone. Headphone jack, always nice to see.
Still here.
Bixby button, not so nice to see.
Not so nice to see, but now you can program it.
To anything except Google Assistant.
To anything except another digital assistant.
Oh!
So if you want Amazon Alexa, if you want Google Assistant, you want Cortana or some kind of other assistant, you're not going to be able to get it. And it always defaults to Bixby.
I totally know the one guy who would try to remap it to Cortana. He's right out there in the labs.
Oh no.
He's the Bing guy. Like if you pass his desk, he's the one where his homepage is always set to Bing.
So he works at Microsoft.
No, he just loves that stuff.
Okay.
Okay, so you can remap it to anything except another digital assistant.
It's a step in the right direction, I would say.
Yeah, but they just need to give up on Bixby as an assistant.
They're never going to do that.
I know, and
they're never
going
to
do that. Yeah. Okay, so now we get inside. I have to say the number one thing I think the greatest thing about this phone, in my experience over the past 2 weeks, has been the battery life.
Yep. It's I'm getting up to 2 days.
Yeah, 2 days, exactly.
But that's also not, I also feel like that's not a high bar. A lot of phones get 2 days now. You know, OnePlus 6T gets up to 2 days. Pixel 3, 3XL sometimes up to 2 days. A day and a half is usually average now. Up to 2 days is pretty good.
I still feel like the battery life here, and it was true in our lab tests as well. The battery life is really on the leading edge of where phones are right now. So that is definitely something to congratulate it for. And inside we've got Snapdragon 855. Yep. We did benchmarks. I actually
did benchmarks too.
You did benchmarks too, but I have benchmark charts that we can put up.
Okay, let's look at them.
And it's great. Like the benchmarks come out great, but like my question for you is, does that really translate to user experience, especially say over the S9 in your experience?
Honestly, no. If you're playing a lot of 3D games, so if you're playing games like Fortnite or Asphalt 9, you'll definitely see less choppiness. I test these 2 games with every new phone, and it does seem a little smoother. I don't know if those games have been fully optimized for S10 yet, but maybe not.
Well, in GFX Bench, we're going at 1080p. We're going from 35 frames for the 845 phones to 42 frames for the 855 phones. So that's definitely an advance.
I mean, the benchmarks I ran a Geekbench 4 test today on single core and multi-core, and it is up to 48% faster on single core and about 27% faster on multi-core.
You actually got faster results than I did.
Okay. But roughly the same.
Yeah.
And those are in line with what Qualcomm's claiming with the Snapdragon 855 versus 845.
Yeah, everything's kosher here.
So everything's kosher. And honestly, I like the One UI a lot. But it is something that you can get on S9.
Yes.
So
this S9, for instance, has the One UI on it right now.
So One UI is basically kind of their version and take on Android 9 Pie. And I like little flourishes like, here I'll open this Messages app. And you can see that they've kind of pushed down a lot of the content. So that's easier to reach with one hand and
I'm in the
thumb.
Call app right now, and you can see how the menu items are along the bottom here. Same thing with the Messages app here.
Right.
Ooh, check out all these awesome junk messages on this phone.
Like everything is just lower on the screen, so it's a lot easier to reach with one hand and one thumb. I think that's really neat. I think that having all the Android 9 Pie features on this phone is already.
And
really
you've got
great.
your Samsungy things too. For instance, you can swipe in from the edge, and you got the apps edge.
Yeah.
And all of that. You have all sorts of like crazy hidden features. Did you notice the feature that lets you load 2 copies of Facebook with different profiles?
I did not, but that is a feature I've seen on other phones. Like OnePlus has had it for a while.
But it's not standard in Android. It's something OnePlus has had for a while, and it's something that I think Samsung added. I don't remember whether they added it with the S8s or the S9s.
So opening 2 instances of the same app, you can log into 2 different accounts. That's really useful.
Exactly,
so
it's
like
really useful.
For Instagram, I never get confused. Like whenever I use a OnePlus phone, I have one page that's like for managing work, one page that's for myself, and I never get confused.
But it's buried, which I
Right.
think is an issue. I mean, it's an issue with all of these UIs.
Right.
That it's like Microsoft Office, where there's like 1,000 useful things you can do, and they're like buried 6 levels deep. So okay, so we've been checking out this $1,000 brand new, top of the line Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus. Starts at $1,000 for 128 gigs of storage,
For
8
the
gigs of
S10
RAM.
Plus.
Yeah. Goes up to 1,600 for a terabyte of storage.
A terabyte is a lot.
I would never spend $1,600 for that because you can put a $449 terabyte SD card into the micro SD slot. And thereby save some. But I guess if you're spending $1,600 on a phone, do you really care?
It's probably not inconsequential.
Yeah, it's inconsequential. But I'm just like it's like I'm feeling feeling the distracted boyfriend meme, and I'm looking over at the Galaxy S10e for $749. With the same processor and the same basic camera and the same punch display and the same One UI and the
Headphone Jack and the wireless power share, the fast wireless charging. You're getting a lot of value in the lower model.
And a flat screen that works with screen protectors. Yeah. And it just makes me think, ooh, is this really the one I want to recommend?
That's a good question. I'm going to save that one for my review.
Yeah.
And probably your review as well. Yeah, it does make me think whether Samsung made the right call in terms of like the features. Like maybe they should have put that side-mounted fingerprint sensor into the larger models as well.
Yeah.
But you know, there's a lot of competition. The competition is incredibly steep, or stiff, I should say. And you know, companies like Huawei, companies like OnePlus, they're all putting these kind of innovative features, even if they're not the best executed yet. They are innovative to a lot of consumers, and Samsung is catching up. They need to catch up.
I think there's another big thing looming on the horizon though that we haven't mentioned, which is 5G. And you buy this phone now, or really you buy any phone now, and does that mean that you're not going to be able to buy another phone until 2022?
I mean, it depends on how fast you update or upgrade your phone.
Yeah, and I feel like we should all be ready to potentially upgrade our phones late 2020.
I'm gonna sit back on this one.
Okay.
I'm gonna sit back on this one just because, you know, as much as I want 5G, I know that the networks aren't ready yet.
They aren't,
and I don't know how much this is gonna cost me. So you know, it's gonna be a couple of years before I invest in 5G myself.
T-Mobile says it'll be unlimited and it will cost exactly the same as it does now.
I mean, I am on T-Mobile.
So there you go. You're going to get the unlimited 5G.
I mean, I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
I'm still having troubles with getting 4G LTE in certain parts of New York, and you know, we tweeted about this before.
Yep.
And so I'm not too hopeful on 5G. I'll wait a little bit.
Okay.
Know? Like it's been years, and I'm still struggling with 4G in some places.
Okay, so we are still working on our Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus reviews. They're going to go up on Mashable and PCMag. As you can tell, we're going to have somewhat different opinions. We're going to have somewhat different takes. We have somewhat different strengths as reviewers, and we accept that as people. So definitely read both sites. Thanks a lot for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. We'll see you again.
See ya.